Good morning, everybody. It's Dave, and I'm so good to be with you today. Joan of Arc said, "Every man gives his life to what he believes. Every woman gives her life to what she believes." Most people believe in little or nothing, so they give their lives to that little or nothing. One life is all we have, and we will live our lives based on those beliefs. So what are your beliefs you're giving your life to? What will you be remembered for? I guess the real question I'm asking all of us right now, do we believe in Jesus Christ enough to give our lives to the big idea that Matthew 5, verse 16 sets before us? And it reads, "In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father." If you really believe in God, this verse says the light of Christ will be radiating through what you do. So, is the light of Jesus Christ just blazing, just radiating for everyone to see in all the different things you do each and every day? You know, since it's Mother's Day, and by the way, happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. Let me ask you, moms, does a good mom just say or simply believe that she loves her children and then do nothing to actually show that love? No, of course not. But unfortunately, we see that parenting style far too often. When children have parents that say they love them, but then do nothing to put that love on display, well, it destroys that child's actual understanding of love. It erodes the child's capacity to love, and it cripples the child's ability to bond in love with other people. And the same exact pattern plays out when you and I as Christians tell everybody we love them, but then do nothing to show our love. It's not our words, it's our actions that demonstrate our hearts, and people know that. James tells us faith without works is dead. And now, for most of the world, the Christian faith is dead. We regularly declare we are Christians, and we're full of love because Christ first loved us. Oh, we are really big on talk in churches, but far, far too often our walk doesn't match our talk. We're what they say in Texas is all hat and no gun. We look the part, but when push comes to shove, we don't back it up. You see, our good news about Jesus and our good deeds towards others are supposed to function like two wings on an airplane. One wing complements the other wing. One wing gives lift to the other wing. But when only one wing is present, a plane will careen into a death spiral and then crash and burn. That sounds like a lot of churches in America today. Crash and burn. But when both wings work the way they're supposed to, lift takes place and even enormous planes can take off and soar. And woven throughout the fabric of Jesus Christ's life was a powerful two-winged ministry. And it was a lot like something we all learned in kindergarten called show and tell. You see, Jesus showed the world how much he loved them through his good deeds, all those miracles. And then he told them why he loved them so much with his good news. Show and tell. Christ's good deeds first paved the road over which his good news then traveled. Like two wings giving lift to a plane, good news and good deeds still work powerfully together to radiate the power of God's love to other people. But when we only tell people the good news without showing any good deeds, well, people respond like the little old ladies in that Wendy's commercial back in the 80s. Where's the beef? Y'all remember that? Can you see this? Does it make sense? Early Christians put their love on full display. When pandemics like smallpox and the bubonic plague swept through Europe, cities became death traps due to the highly infectious nature of the fatal diseases. Everyone who had the ability, the money to leave, they fled the cities and they sought safety in their isolated country homes. The elite, the wealthy, the privileged, they abandoned their close friends and even their families. They ran away, but not Christians. Christians stayed in the cities, and astonishingly, many Christians actually moved from the country into the cities to minister and care for the sick and dying. Dionysius described how Christ's followers responded to the plague in 260 AD. The Christians were unsparing in their exceeding love and kindness. They held fast to one another and visited the sick fearlessly and ministered to them continuously. They died joyfully, being infected by their patience and willingly received the pain of death. But with the heathen, the non-Christian people, it was quite different. They deserted people who became sick, and they fled from their closest friends. They cast sick friends and even family members out in the street where they were half dead, and they just left them to die. Corpses were strewn like trash all in the streets. Wow, what a horrific but amazing picture at the same time. Those early Christians remind me of a mother's kind of love. You see, moms will run into the face of any threat without any regard for danger, to save and to protect and to love their child. A mother's love is an irrational kind of love. And that's the exact kind of love we as Christ followers are commanded to live out. We are told to love others like a mother loves her child. Early Christians actually lived out that kind of selfless love. And the church grew like a pandemic. The church grew exponentially because of selfish, irrational, and action-oriented love. And that kind of love, y'all, is highly contagious. All the miraculous growth happened without seminaries or elaborate Sunday services or amazing music performances or cool pastors or nice buildings. Early Christians, they just lived in a way that made the world stand up and take notice. How are we doing? Are we willing to lay down our lives for other people? Are we willing to love other people like a good mama loves her child? You know, here's the thing. A church without good deeds, it's a dead church. A church without good deeds has no power because it's lost its power. A one-winged plane flies into a death spiral. And somewhere along the way, we have stopped loving and serving and caring for the people in our communities. And now we have become irrelevant. Or in the age of coronavirus, churches are now considered non-essential. And we've done this to ourselves. The modern church in America is seen, and I quote, as small islands of piety circled by seas of irrelevance. Ouch, that hurts. And maybe it hurts because maybe it's true. Moms, how many of you heard your baby crying in the middle of the night and just said to yourself, I told my precious little child I loved them before we all went to sleep. So I don't need to show my love by getting up out of this bed to care for them at 2:30 in the morning. After all, I'm comfortable, I'm tired, and it's her fault. She should have eaten more earlier. Is that what a good mother does? Of course not. But friends, we have people crying out all around churches everywhere, and we remain totally content to just sit back and say, we love them. Then let them wallow in their hunger and their filth and their pain because, well, I'm just too comfortable. I don't want to be bothered. And it's their fault, right? You know, I'm regularly shocked at the way God speaks to me. It happened again last week. I saw one of those cars. You know the ones. I love them. The back of this old station wagon was just covered with bumper stickers. And there were some really good ones on this old Griswold mobile. Here's a couple that made me realize, man, I am getting old. Inside every old person is a young person wondering what happened. Another one, I voted for Mondale. And my personal favorite, I might be old, but I got to see all the good bands. Hey, shout out to my 70s and 80s friends, right? But then a couple others were like God reached deep into my soul and just shook me. One read, I've got nothing against God. It's his fan club I can't stand. Oof. Another one read, do something really radical. Practice your religion. Ouch. Now there's a couple of illuminating ideas. People actually expect us to live out our faith. And you know what? That fellow was right. Even people who are far from God know we aren't acting or behaving like we got any Jesus in us. Christianity, by and large, it's been reduced to an academic pursuit or philosophy. We educate ourselves on the principles and the tenets of our religion. Our faith has become cerebral, intellectual, because by and large, we're not practicing what we're learning. We got to wake up, church. It's our actions, it's our deeds that connects our loving God to our neighbors. And our good deeds will turn little flickers of our faith into raging infernos that light up entire communities for good. Our actions for good will turn our Christian philosophy into a life-transforming, kingdom-building, and world-changing faith. To that point of love, moms, do you only love your children when they meet your expectations? When they do not toe your line? When your demands are not met? Do you withhold your love? No? Well, I hope not. Because love with expectations is not love at all. It's called manipulation. Does our love demand or expect something from other people in return? If there's an expectation attached to our good deeds, then it's not love. It's actually called exploitation. When we go and serve our friends at Martha's house or Helping Hands or Teen Challenge or Friendship Place or wherever we go, is it a failure when they don't immediately come to our church? No way, because real love has no conditions or expectations. Real love has no strings attached because that's how Jesus Christ loves us. Today, more than ever, people want proof of faith. Jesus Christ tells us that faith can be observed and experienced. We make an invisible God visible in the way we love other people. Think about it like this. Moms, if you have to argue or debate the fact that you love your child with your child, can we agree something's gone horribly wrong in that relationship? How should a child know that their mother loves them? By mama's actions, right? So, church folk, the vast majority of people believe Christians are hypocrites that judge, criticize, and condemn other people, right? Now, those are not warm and fuzzy words that reflect a whole lot of love. So when we have to start a conversation about faith, trying to prove that we Christians really do love other people when there is no corroborating evidence, we have a problem. Are you seeing this? Church, we have an action problem. Actually, it's a lack of action problem. Just like a mother's love is so much deeper and richer than just her verbalizations, a mother's selfless actions, her serving nature, her mercy in action, and her felt compassion and nurturing spirit, it all screams, I love you, to her children and to anyone else who happens to witness that kind of love. St. Francis of Assisi wrote it like this: preach the gospel constantly, and when necessary, use words. Now, what do you think he meant by that? Here's a great metric for us to judge a church by. If a church closes their doors for good, who would be impacted? I mean, besides the people that come and attend that church regularly, who would notice? When a church closes, it should be like a nuclear bomb just detonated in the heart of the city. There should be massive cries from government and businesses and nonprofits and scores of hurting people. But unfortunately, no one even notices when church after church after church closes their doors in this country. And that's because we have made ourselves irrelevant and non-essential because we no longer show our love in our communities. But we tell that we love. If the church had functioned like small islands of piety surrounded by seas of irrelevance, ignoring the cries for the sick and the dead and the dying over those early centuries in Europe, our church may not even exist today. Good deeds elicit amazement and they cause people to say, wow, why is that person caring for, investing in, and loving someone they don't really know? Which will then lead people into a verse from 1 Peter 3. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. Good deeds will create thirst and lead people to search for that kind of water. But only the good news of Jesus Christ will quench a thirst for abundant life. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Now let's agree to go love some people like mamas love their babies. And let's change our world, one life and one heart at a time. God bless you. And Cornerstone family, a quick announcement. I want you to tune in with me tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm going to have a Facebook Live special presentation. We've got some exciting news coming, so please join me. Again, 7 o'clock, Facebook Live this evening. God bless, happy Mother's Day, and have an amazing afternoon. Love y'all.